Hello, welcome to Business Live. Coming up, some oil marketing companies increase prices of petroleum products at the pumps despite earlier forecasts of a reduction in prices at the pumps. We are live with the Association of Oil Marketing Companies and the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana. Also in this bulletin, Institute of Economic Affairs says the cedi is under serious threat following recent depreciation streak. We have more from a latest release from the IEA. Plus, Ghana set to sign debt restructuring agreement with bilateral creditors this week, a move expected to aid the release of $360 million from the IMF next month. We shall be joined by an economist for a conversation on that. We have details of these and many others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojo Baka, and look now at our stories. Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has revealed government is set to sign an agreement on debt restructuring with external creditors this week. The Finance Minister disclosed this in an interview with Joy or Ghana News Agency. Now, there is more for you in this report.
The Finance Minister has maintained that they are waiting for this draft agreement to sign this week. The minister added that this should pave the way for the IMF board to meet on Ghana next month and give its approval to the disbursement of this $360 million to the country. The fund had earlier maintained that just having the financing assurance from the bilateral creditors could be enough. However, based on these developments, the IMF may now have all that it's looking for to go ahead and approve Ghana's second review and instruct the IMF to release some $360 million to Ghana. For some analysts, it's not just about the money being released to Ghana, but rather the signal that it will send to Ghana's development partners about government's commitment to the fund program. The news may also go a long way to deal with the speculation that has gone a long way to bring some pressure on the Ghana cedi. We should also not forget about the impact of this development on projects that have stalled over the years, and how this could lead to the release of funding to aid in the resumption of these projects all over the country.
Let's have a broader conversation on the back of this. Joining us via Zoom to do that is Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School, Sariam Kawo. Thanks so much, Sariam, for your time. Now, this is coming at a time the Finance Minister is saying we are close to signing an agreement on debt restructuring with external creditors this week. How refreshing is this news and its expected impact that would have on the economy and, of course, the cedi, bearing in mind?
I think we should not celebrate it. The agreement with the external creditors is long overdue. We've delayed on that particular agreement, and if we should get it earlier, it will help all of us. That is one of the reasons why we have the exchange rate depreciating over time. And so it is much earlier for government to speed up that particular agreement with our external creditors.
Looking at future precedents, there's been a number of times government has missed out on its own timelines with regards to reaching an agreement with external lenders. Wouldn't you rather urge government to remain circumspect until they secure an agreement with the creditors? Rather sorry, we've lost Sariam Kawo on that, and of course, internet challenges. We shall rectify that and bring him on stream to speak to us on the subject matter. But let's go visit the story. All right, so I'm told Sariam Kawo is back on stream to speak to us on the matter. So Sariam, thanks so much again for rejoining. And earlier, I was asking about government circumspection in relation to this very matter. Wouldn't you rather urge government to remain, careful before coming out with these timelines?
Yeah, I think it's good for government to actually be careful when coming out with these deadlines. because over time, the former finance minister also told us that they are reaching the agreement in few weeks, and that has passed. And so government should not be so much happy and jubilant in giving out these deadlines. We need to wait and make sure that we have a firm agreement, a firm decision that has been reached before we finally come out with it.
Nothing to write home about, really. What more can government do beyond the $360 million we are waiting the IMF give us, and of course the recently passed $140 million by Parliament to basically shore up our reserves? What more can we do?
You say the cedi depreciation is basically because we are unable to borrow from the international financial market. Once the capital market is closed to Ghana, we basically don't have any other reserve to shore up. And the demand for the products that we have in Ghana are higher for foreign products. And so we need to make sure that we industrialize, we boost our exports, make sure that the products that we can produce in Ghana, we produce them. Government needs to also look at the rates at which we charge on duties. That means that if we continue to price our duties in dollar and ask the importer to pay in cedis, it's also affecting what we are doing. Government needs to look at a situation where they have to fix a rate at the port for at least 6 months. So importers, consumers, and those who demand the products can plan for that particular period. I think it's also much a high time we go in for a similar situation in the UK, where they issue the British consul, where the citizens in that particular country pay in terms, borrow to the government in terms of bond, and that is a perpetual bond that they have. If we can go for that particular one, that will also shore up our currency.
Sariam Kawo, we are grateful speaking to us on Business Live. Thanks so much, sir. All right.
Thank you very much, brother.
Let's move on to some other stories we are following up for you. Some oil marketing companies have started increasing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. This is despite earlier prediction or production of prices going down for the next 2 weeks. We have details in the following Business Desk report.
Selling a litre of petrol at 14 cedis, 55 pesos from the old price of 14 cedis, 40 pesos. Diesel, on the other hand, is going for 14 cedis, 70 pesos, compared to the old price of 14 cedis, 65 pesos. It is not clear what influenced Govt's decision to increase their prices, especially when industry data showed that prices should have rather gone down for the next 2 weeks. However, most of the oil marketing companies decided to leave the price unchanged since last Thursday because of the cedi's depreciation. Another major player in the industry, Allied, has also told Joy Business they will also review their prices upwards, but will still be below the 14 cedis market. Some of the oil marketing companies have maintained that they need to find some innovative ways to minimize the impact of the cedi's depreciation on their operations going forward. The performance of the Ghana cedi and how the various finished petroleum products are selling on the international market have been a major factor in determining the fuel prices at the pumps on the local market. The latest round of increases by some of the major oil marketing companies may feed into rising cost of living and doing business in the country.
Quickly, let's get on to Zoom and speak to the Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Rivers Opong. Thanks so much, Mr. Opong, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. Now, we have been picking some mixed signals from the market. First, we understood that prices will be kept unchanged, but now we are seeing some major adjustments. Why so?
Thank you so much, George, for bringing me on today. The adjustment you are notifying today or seeing today is not manual. So it's not manually fixated. We've seen an increase in the flat price for both petrol and diesel till the very last window. where it dropped from 940 to somewhere around 890. That was a $50 per metric ton drop. However, we all know that apart from the fact that we have the Platts price informing us about the SREF price in the price build-up as we buy at the pump price, there is also the factor of Forex also in the price build-up. I believe that we all know that the Forex price at today, we've seen an increase from 12 to 13 to 14, and some are even still at 15 today. And that in a way also affects the pump price. I've heard people mention that it's because of the pricing mechanism or the floor price that MPA, I would say, implemented early this month. That is causing the increase in the pump price. That is not the case. Let's do a bit of education here. The floor price, according to MPA, was meant to educate and guide most of the OMCs to price war. Yes, we have issues with it, but we are dealing with MPA to make it even better. But if you have a Platts price moving from 753 to 940, it should tell you that indeed that will also affect the delivered cost of the product. And also with the impact in the Forex and the position of the city would also affect the product. Remember, we buy the product in dollars, not in cities.
All right. So the city, indeed, as you've rightly cited, is a major factor for these adjustments. But over the last 3 weeks or days now, we've seen the rate of restitution basically slowing down. So what other reasons would you give to these adjustments?
Yes. So what I'll say is, so, you know, the petroleum prices and the pump price are made on bi-weekly basis. So we don't just pick a daily fee and just apply it when it goes down. So we pick an average of 2 weeks and then that's applied. That's what MPA does. And that's what is done everywhere in the world. So basically, if you're importing a product that you're actually going to pay back in a USD, you are actually going to pay a ransom, or pay for the forest depreciation, and that's a factor. And like I cited, the Platts price has not gone down for the past month or so. It's moved from 874 to 940. So you see that there's almost $100 per metric ton increase. And since the market is deregulated, MPA has no right to add or even take anything out. There've been no, I wouldn't say there's been any tariff or there's been any levy added to what it is. So I wouldn't blame anybody for the increase in the price that we see today. It is the market price that we are actually paying for. And this is the product, sorry to say, we don't produce here. In the country, we import almost 90% of them. So that's what will happen.
All right. Fast forward, how is the outlook like for pricing at the pumps?
So our outlook of the pricing at the pump is very, very, I would say, is very dicey to predict. But we can predict the Platts price. We see a decline in the Platts price in the next few windows to come, based on reasons known best to ourselves. However, it will also depend on the forest stand of view in terms of its strength against the city. So again, if the Platts price goes down, believe me, the price of the pump price, so the pump price should also go down. But again, another factor, the forest will also be a factor to determine the pump price.
All right, let's wrap up with this. You had in recent times engaged government on various taxes on the products of petroleum products, basically. What's the progress on that?
Yes, I believe we are still engaging. We know that something can be done about it. The government indeed can review certain levies and tariffs to liberate the end user, which is you and I. And as it stands, we are still in engagement with MP and the regulators to jojo and understand the impact of the liberation of taxes on the petroleum fuel pump price. And I believe that when that is done, we'll see a drastic drop in the pump price.
Reverend Opon, thanks so much for speaking to us on Business Live. He's the Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. And I would like to bring in the consumer perspective as well. Joining us via phone to do that is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, Duncan Amwa, for some analysis on this as well. Thanks so much, Duncan. Now, do you foresee the consumer paying more just because the cedi depreciation, or you believe government must step in to protect consumers from the price hikes?
Well, I do think that there's not much government can do. If you recall, government has attempted not long ago to reduce the price stabilization and recovery levy. Eventually, a certain IMF conditionality has to force them to reinstate the 14 and 16 pesos for petrol diesel. So you get the indication that government doesn't have much it can do at this point. The only bit government must be sure to want to tackle is the free fall of our local currency. Once you don't have a currency that you can predict the next 2-3 months with, then you are forcing importers to, as it were, up the ante on what value they are using in setting their prices. Because if he's done selling, he's got to pay the supplier. And if he needs much more cedi than he did when he was setting the price, a certain loss or a certain overrun would have occurred. So clearly, something has got to give. What is to give, I do not know, but government has a duty to Ghanaians to ensure that there's some stability with the local currency.
And for COPEC, what are your expectations for the future when it comes to price stabilization, or basically price stabilizing? All right, make that point for me.
The truth of all of this is that we don't have too much of an expectation currently. International market prices came down. Ghanaians could not enjoy a reduction at the pump because the cedi had depreciated. The cedi is still depreciating, and as we speak, international markets have turned the other way around and going up. So we are not expecting prices to come down anytime soon. To the contrary, it might rather go up because we are simply not tackling one of the very critical ingredients, which is the cedi's performance.
Duncan Amwa, thanks so much for speaking to us on Business Live. This is still Business Live with me, Pius Kojo Baka. We are pausing for a breather. We'll be right back with more. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. The Institute of Economic Affairs says the Ghana cedi is under serious threat following the significant depreciation of the currency by 13.7% up in the mid-May 2024. The IEA further proposed an alternative to full dollarization, which is to adopt a currency board system and for the Bank of Ghana to progressively build up its foreign exchange reserves to at least 70% of the currency in circulation.
In a recent press release, the Institute of Economic Affairs have highlighted the critical state of the Ghanaian cedi, emphasizing the need for immediate and sustained interventions to halt its persistent depreciation. The cedi has depreciated by 30.0% in 2022, 27.8% in 2023, and 13.7% up to mid-May 2024, with an overall depreciation of 99.99% since adopting a flexible exchange rate in 1983. The cedi's current value is 13 Ghana cedis, 77 pesos to $1, which, according to the Institute of Economic Affairs, signifies an existential threat to the national currency. The IEA is proposing that the government should engage with both the IMF and the external creditors to reach an early agreement on the external debt restructuring exercise. The second option is for the Bank of Ghana to step up for the enforcement of FS market regulations, which includes limits on FS carry-on for travelers and supportive documentation for FX purchases. The institute further encourages the Bank of Ghana to work with security agencies to monitor acts of illegal FX transfers through banks, forex bureaus, and other channels. The institute is urging the government and stakeholders to take decisive action to secure the future of the Ghanaian currency and, by extension, the economy.
In more business news, the board chair of the Ghana Cocoa Board Education Fund, Dr. Ernest Addison, has underscored the need to improve educational infrastructure in cocoa growing communities to enable farmers also benefit from their contribution to the economy. He made the call after the board chairman of Cocoa Board, Peter McMenu, inaugurated a 5-member trust to replace the Cocoa Board Scholarship Secretariat. Dr. Addison, who is also the governor of the Bank of Ghana, assured that the trust will be prudent in its works and ensure the cocoa growing communities benefit.
The members of the trust include the governor of the Bank of Ghana, national best cocoa farmer, head of the Ghana Education Service, head of the Legal Service, Cocoa Board and the Deputy Chief Executive, Operations at the Ghana Cocoa Board. Board Chairman of Cocoa Board, Peter McMenu, said the Cocoa Board Scholarship Scheme has naturally run its course.
We must look forward and prioritize the continued educational advancement of cocoa farming communities. It is with this vision in mind that the Board of Directors has decided to establish the Ghana Cocoa Board Education Trust. This trust is a testament of our unwavering commitment to the well-being and prosperity of our cocoa farmers and their children. The primary objective of the Education Trust is clear: to focus on providing essential primary school infrastructure in underserved cocoa growing areas.
Dr. Ernest Addison, who is also the governor of the Bank of Ghana, assured that the trust will be prudent in its works and ensure that cocoa growing communities benefit.
Education is a fundamental pillar of progress and empowerment, and we are committed to ensuring that this trust makes a meaningful impact on the lives of cocoa farmers and their children. I, as chair of the trust, am sincerely grateful to the board of Cocoa Board for entrusting me and my fellow trustees with this important responsibility. The confidence reposed in us is both a challenge and an honor, and I'm confident that together we can achieve great things for the benefit of our farmers and our nation.
Deputy Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Emmanuel Riankra, said all stakeholders in the education and agri sectors were consulted in establishing the trust.
The scheme on average was churning out 10,000 awards to various beneficiaries across the country's senior schools. However, prior to that, various trust schools had been built with funding from cocoa sales. All these projects helped to build the manpower needs of the country and continue to play the same useful role. In September 2017, when the government of Ghana, under the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, started the free senior high school program, the board started engaging with relevant stakeholders to consider various options available to direct the funds.
Thanks so much for being part of the bulletin. I am Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. More stories on that portal. See you same time tomorrow. Bye.